Hello and welcome to another episode of Friday with the Chakontas, episode 11.
Mm,
We're reviewing
blue
Blue
therapy.
Therapy in Love or and Toxic,
Yeah,
episode 5 now, right?
awesome. I think so.
So this is a episode that we've been reviewing on our channel on Fridays with the
Series.
Chakontas. Series.
Yeah, because you said this is an episode we've been reviewing.
Okay, series that we've been reviewing on our channel on Fridays with the Chakontas. And we're now on episode 5. I think we've caught up now.
Yeah, we're on track.
Yeah, but I don't know how are they gonna be. Are we gonna give them everything or what before the next episode?
What do you mean?
We're gonna publish everything.
Oh, I see what you mean. Oh, we'll see.
Okay, we'll see. Yeah. So and like we always give a disclaimer, we're not
Go for it.
we're not endorsing the show itself, but we're especially for believers. We're just saying when you watch certain things, you also have to have a discerning eye.
Yep.
And with discernment comes a level of how you scrutinize certain things that are being put out there in public and how you can speak truth into those situations, particularly for the younger generation who are infested in this society. They need to have a Christian rebut of the things that they're seeing in society. So anything you want to add?
No, that's correct. We can head straight into it.
So what's the first couple we're gonna
Should we go with? Let's go with Tunde Marie. We haven't started with them in a while.
Okay.
So, and they've probably got the most that we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
So we have Tunde Marie, and the summaries they've come. You know, they're in the consulting. Well, they're in the therapy room.
Yeah.
And I think they'd been given homework to say 3 things that they think needs to be worked on to help improve their relationship.
Yeah.
And so we only get to hear Tunde's side, isn't it?
I think Marie said her side. So
She did?
She said trust. I don't know what the other 2 were.
I missed that.
Yeah, she said trust something, and she said I don't know if it's in this episode or the episode before.
I see. Maybe because I only remembered Tunde's 3 things. So Tunde mentioned 3 things, and we'll go into detail. And then afterwards, I think we have a situation where Marie's best friend, has a conversation with Tunde.
Yeah.
So I think the 3 things that Tunde mentioned was communication, but that's when he brought up Amy, who's Marie's friend. But to be fair, Marie didn't understand, and neither did I, how Amy got into the whole situation about communication. I don't know if you got that.
I think it feels like the communication is breaking down because of Amy's interference.
I see.
And I think even the way she was and the way she talked to him, it's more on the side of she doesn't respect the relationship. And to the point of saying, I think Marie can do better. And because she can, maybe she can. But in the sense of, let's say we had,
how she spoke to him.
let's say we had friends and we're talking about this in the context of marriage.
Yeah.
And then you and me are having challenges. I feel like if a friend was talking to me that particular way and also talking to you in a way of saying, just leave him, I feel like maybe that's interfering and not bringing in an aspect of positive energy to help the relationship go in a positive way.
Yes. I think the way she started it was very accusatory. She was just, when someone comes to you in a particular way, your natural response would probably be to defend yourself.
Yeah.
So although I agree with a lot of things that she was saying, and I did not like Tunde's response towards her.
Yeah.
She could have, it's always nice in a situation like that. If you've got a friend and they've come to you, they're complaining about either the husband or the wife, you ask them, okay, tell me, hear their side of the story, because you've most likely have heard your friend's side of the story because he or she has been telling you.
Yeah.
So hear the other person out, because in these fights in relationships, it's not always one-sided. The majority of the time, it's both of you.
Yeah.
So hear the other person out, and then from that, you now have a better picture of what's going on, and then you'll be able to impart some wisdom or some advice. And I also think one of the things that I quite like that, we do is we have the conversation together. So like, and I think in a marriage, it can be quite like, it's okay. It's okay to have the conversation separately. But I also think it's quite nice if, let's say, Marie was there, but she also needs to remember, Marie, she needs to make sure that she's respectful and quiet so it doesn't become a fight. Because if Marie was there, that would have just become a fight. But if she was there and this is someone who's actually wise, it's like talking to both of them.
Yeah.
And also it means there's no hearsay, she said this and you heard something wrong.
Yeah.
So they can clarify. And you're also speaking into their relationship as a couple, not as an individual.
I agree with you on that. But I think there's also a time where also there needs to be a separate aspect.
Yeah.
And I think even like certain things, maybe even in our relationship, we've also seen like certain our friends have actually talked to us separately.
Yeah.
And I think maybe on the separate side is more emphasized. I don't think the way they talk to us separately, for me, when they come to talk to me separately, is not bashing you. I think it's more just targeting me personally. And saying, okay, I needed to talk to you separately from that conversation so I can have a man-to-man conversation with you on this situation.
I get you.
So, they think maybe this may be a better platform for us to discuss this.
Yeah, I get you. I hear you. So yeah, so that was one way, and then one point, and then the other point was appreciation.
Yeah.
And Tunde saying that, he does not feel that Marie appreciates the things that he does. He gave examples of how he's bought her something and she's like, oh, I would rather you'd bought me something I liked than buy something I don't like. And, and then Marie's response was, I would also want you to buy things for me on the same level as your level. So not, if you're going to spend this amount of money on yourself, I expect you to equally spend the same amount. You hear me laughing, the same amount of money on me.
Yeah.
I think I don't know what he got her something. I don't know I think he got her Rick Owens shoes, and she wasn't happy with that. And I think she wanted Chanel. But he doesn't. She's like, I never told you I like Rick Owens, and obviously Rick Owens ain't cheap either.
Yeah.
And then I think he got himself an AP,
a watch. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't know how much those things are, but they're definitely gonna be more than.
Yeah, I've got a slight problem with that aspect. Of what did she say? He said what? Appreciate?
Yeah. He said he said he doesn't feel she appreciates. He feels like she's entitled, and I agree.
I agree with that, but I also think the problem we have when we're discussing this conversation is we're talking about relationships, but we'll always talk about it from a context of marriage. So that may be the difficult thing that maybe people may be saying, why are you guys talking about that? Because we also believe that relationships should lead to marriage. So this conversation should be central in your courting stage before you get to the next stage of being married. In the context of marriage, especially when we do our vows, it comes to the aspect of richer or poor. When we say those vows, do we really mean them? And if we're coming with an aspect of entitlement and saying, you need to make an extra amount of money to sustain my lifestyle. And I feel like that's selfish. That means you are only thinking about the rich side and not the poor side.
Yeah.
And you're only there for that relationship based on certain things that you could achieve from those relationships. And You're not really understanding that this is a whole new dynamic and you need to build it up together and find ways of how you can live based on the means that God has provided for you. And I think this is the problem I have with Marie's attitude. Marie's attitude comes in a sense of where she feels she's very high maintenance, spends a lot of money, and she feels like that's the way she needs to live. And I think it goes back. I keep on bringing this up. It's like she's very entitled. For a boyfriend to be doing that, then what does she expect her husband to be doing?
I know. He's going to be breaking his back. I mean, I'm just here Googling how much AP watches are. And average here is telling me 22,000, and that's on the lower end. You know, I've just typed in Google, and some of them are like close to £100,000. And so she was expecting him. Let's just say he spent £30,000 on himself.
Yeah.
So she was expecting him to also equally spend the same amount
on her.
ish.
But I kind of see where she's coming, especially if you are married. That's a good expectation.
Really?
If you were,
babe, let's have a look. We better change out. Really?
No. I'm saying like if I buy something,
you expect. So if you buy something for yourself,
yeah.
I mean, you do. You live like that. That's true. You do live like that.
But let's say, if you are in a season of where you are courting or dating, I'm just like, you're not my responsibility yet. You've already told me you won't cook and clean. You're only going to do it at girlfriend level, and you're not going to do it at wife level until I put a ring there. Then I'm just like, and I also have other responsibilities. I've got my kids and everything like that. And you can manage your own self. You can work. So why are you now basically saying I have to now sponsor your lifestyle? But again, I think maybe she'll come and say, that was me. But I'm saying, look, we have to be realistic here. You can't be. And I think the problem with Marie is her ex-boyfriend has really messed up her way of thinking about life. She thinks because I had all those things, I deserve them in every relationship.
No, it's true, because I mean, if he's making, $500,000 in a week, it's easy for him to afford to buy an AP watch for 150,000. It's not, it's not that much when you look at the percentage wise. You can sacrifice that as a gift once a while, but we don't know how much Tunde earns, but he earns enough to be able to buy himself an AP watch. But also you don't know how long it might take him to save to afford an AP watch. But I agree with you. I completely agree with you. I feel like she wants, if it works, and if it works for her, great. But if it doesn't work for her, like cooking, cleaning, she'll be like, no, I ain't doing that. And I'm just like, you're expecting so much from this guy, and you don't even want to help with the other stuff. So she's definitely a problem. And then the third one was a threesome.
You know what? I'm not even going to entertain that, to be honest. I don't think that...
You don't even want to talk about it?
Nah, to be honest. Okay, I'll talk about it a little bit. I'll just say that's a no-no. Especially from a Christian perspective. I'm just like... Why? I just don't understand.
You're bringing sin intentionally.
Yes, and I feel like...
You're defying your marriage bed intentionally.
Yes, and maybe in their courtship process, that this is something that they feel like is exciting, but I think they're saying things that are exciting that are basically detrimental. And you basically see how it came about. Yeah,
exactly, because he went and got in touch with the girl after she told him not to get in touch.
Yeah, and
and he was like, I wanted to do it again.
Yeah, and it's like the way they were saying that they need to have this set of rules of how to interact in that threesome. So Marie's got the right to introduce the new party.
Yeah.
And then through that...
Tunde can never make contact.
Can never make contact and everything like that.
And then he goes and makes contact.
And I'm just like, if this is what is being portrayed in society, then...
We're doomed, mate.
I feel sorry for the ladies coming after us, or even us, to be honest.
The ladies, all of us.
All of us.
Because but you know what? As much as we are speaking like this, but this is quite common. This is not as well. I don't know how common it is, but it's not unheard of. You know, it's not. They are. But again, I see what you're saying. There's no point in us talking about it because it's a point blank no. As a Christian, it's a no. In courtship, it's a no. In marriage, it's a no. So
I think even not for Christians. I think some women also need to understand you need to know your self-worth. There's no way you can be sharing a man.
That's true.
And I think this just shows you your value and basically showing that you are somebody who he values as something he can share you with somebody else. That is not a relationship. But I think there's some other...
But she introduced the girl though. So, you can be saying women, but it's also it's just we, or even men. Like she's the one who brought that. There's these things people might be talking. Oh, we tried it and it worked for us. So there's these fantasies. These are things that I remember. I remember when I was at school. This was a conversation. it was a question. Would you have a threesome? Would you, what kind of threesome would you like? Would you like it to be with another girl or would you like another guy? Like this was conversations that we actually had.
Okay, your school.
Yeah, you're shocked. Like what? Like
your school was wild then.
Nah, babe, this is standard. And I can only imagine this was in secondary school back then. Can you imagine the conversations that they have now at what age?
I know.
This is happening. It was a conversation. Like a threesome was like, it's something that people would talk about. It's something that it was freely, like people wouldn't be like, no, people maybe, you came from a good school, with good people, but people wouldn't be disgusted. You wouldn't be like, you just be like, oh, what? Yeah, maybe I don't fancy that. Or you'd be like, I don't know, maybe it'll be a girl, but I don't know if I want to see two guys together, but then I don't want my man to be, like, you actually be having a conversation about it.
Yeah, but I think, you know what, maybe our intake, I think is it intake?
Yeah, your intake.
Yeah, our intake, was a good one. I think even in our intake, there were some branches. I think it's just my friend groups. I think maybe my friend groups were good. But I think this was normal.
Yeah, like this was normal conversation.
It's not even about threesomes. It's just even girls sharing a guy.
Yeah.
Or recycling guys and everything like that and all those things. And I think this was common. It was common.
And now you can imagine. I'm just like, this was then, babe. So you can imagine these are conversations that young people are having, and it's being put out there. It's on television like this.
Yes.
And even us, we're watching this.
Yeah.
And it was like, it's okay. She just said, this is something that I want to try. And these are the conditions. So children are watching this, or adults, or even people in relationships are now saying, oh, actually, I've always wanted to do that, but I've been scared to do it because I've been scared that, my man might want to go with another woman. But actually, if I bring the woman, I'm going to steal Marie's idea. Yeah. Like, this is how we are teaching our children. This is how we're teaching this is how, this is why it's important to scrutinize these things when we're watching, because it's not like it's been put on television like it's a shock. It's just been put on it like it's just one of those things that can happen in a relationship.
Yeah, that's true. And I think this is another thing where parents need to be really interactive, especially with what your children are watching, what your children are doing, what they're learning in school. Because when you're doing all those things, it also helps you understand how you speak into those things. And I think that the challenge we have is we live in a very busy world. And because the busyness of the world is very evident, it now takes our time away from the things that we need to do for the responsibilities that God has given us as parents.
Yeah.
And we need to invest our time. And it's hard, easier said than done, but we need to be intentional. Because if you're not going to teach them, somebody is going to teach them. And somebody is wanting to take that. The world is trying to take the attention of their time.
Yeah.
In various ways, and it's coming fast and thick in various angles. And the way it's like, if you lose a certain period of their growth, you've lost them.
Yeah, I feel you have to be more intentional than we've ever.
Yeah.
Because this world.
Yeah. And I think just seeing that, and then so maybe for her, you may say it's the young girls, this is what they're thinking, but maybe pressurize on the side of the girl and just saying, this is maybe how I'm going to keep him entertained. And this is how I'm going to basically...
I'm going to give him an option to have a bit extra.
And for her, she also may look at it because I'm in control.
Yes.
And because I'm in control, I can manage this. And then because now he stepped out of the rules, now she feels I'm not in control. Now she feels threatened as her position of wanting to be in control of that situation. But to be honest, this is something I personally would not condone.
It's a problem.
It's a problem.
Just problem.
And some people will say maybe these are the things you used to see in the Old Testament things. Look, where especially for the Christians, we're New Testament Christians, and certain things God overlooked in the Old Testament. The things that people were doing, we know that. I think people need to understand what the scriptures are trying to show us. Is not showing that there's a perfect way of doing things. It's just showing how sinners were there and how God was interacting with these sinners. And with time now, he's now brought a new way of how we have to live, and that's through the person and the work of the Lord Jesus Christ. Us putting our faith in the Lord Jesus Christ means we need to now live in a different manner. And then now the exclusivity that Christ has with the church is the same way that God designed it from the beginning. One man, one woman. And then that is the way marriage should be. That's the definition of marriage.
Yes.
I know some other religions may do that, but we're not speaking about them. Let them do what they have to do. We don't agree with them. So that's what I want to say. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's about it. We still haven't been told. Oh, well, we already still know that Tunde is expecting a fourth child.
Yeah.
But we haven't been shown him yet in this episode express that or inform Marie of that.
Yeah.
But I think we might be talking about that. He might tell her in the next episode.
Yeah. Anything we want to add on this couple?
No, actually, I think that was it. Did you have anything?
No.
No. Next one?
Yeah, what's the next one?
Let's do Ray and Sean. I really like Ray and Sean, you know. I don't know why. I'm starting to warm up to them. I feel like they've faced a lot of challenges.
Yeah.
And I feel like I can actually feel like they're working through them. I might be wrong. But I didn't, at first I was just like, guys, you know, I've seen Ray has become more calm.
Yeah.
You know, she doesn't give as much attitude in her behavior. You know, before I feel like there was a lot of facial expression, attitude that she would give, body language. I think maybe it might be because, you know, like we said, it might be because she also had a secret of her own and she's humbling herself. But I do feel like they are actually, I can feel like they're in therapy and they're actually talking through the nitty gritty stuff and they're actually talking through their problems. So in this episode, Ray confesses to Sean that when she was in Paris, I don't know at what point of their dating life, she invited an ex. Was it an ex? Or I'm confused. There was a guy. There was a male. There was a guy that she went out for dinner. She went out to dinner with, and he kissed her, but she said she pushed him her way. And Sean got angry.
Yeah.
He was upset.
The problem I have is Ray doesn't take accountability because she does not see it as cheating. And she keeps on saying, I don't see it as cheating.
I didn't see it as cheating.
You don't see it as cheating?
No.
Kissing somebody.
No, but she didn't kiss him. He kissed her.
It's still the same thing.
No, how can you say I cheated on you when a man came to kiss me?
Still the same thing.
No.
You entertain that. You open the door for that to happen.
But that doesn't mean I'm cheating.
No, you open the door for you to be in a vulnerable position.
That is true.
For him to now feel like
he has a chance.
Yes, like let's say for example, this is another thing why we need to talk about this to women. If somebody's saying you need to be very careful. If somebody's saying I'm going to take you out, I'm going to pay for everything. There's some guys who are just genuine. There's some people who want an exchange for that money that they've used. And that is the situation. You need to also understand when you are going on a date, it's not just because you are pretty and ABCD that you're now going to get a free meal. People need to, you need to be careful with these things. Men would say, look, they're looking at it as an investment. And that's the challenge that we're having in this world. Men are just not going to take you out and just do certain things. So she gave him an opportunity. She probably opened up to the point of where she felt that, I went on a date and I felt nice and ABCD. And then when he comes aggressive towards you, you now start saying, what's happening? I'm just like, you entertain this. And I think sometimes we need to be careful. And I think you women need to be very careful because even this situation could have gone in a very dramatic sense of where the guy forced herself on him and it becomes something where it's even a bad issue. But this was just maybe a case, which is also, I would consider it a sexual harassment then, if he did that. But
I get where you're coming from. But if you're standing there and the vibing and he tries to kiss you, because she knew, I feel like the way she has described the scene, because she's like, it was at a time when she felt that Sean had detached from her emotionally.
Yeah.
So perhaps this guy now gave her that emotional attention, and she entertained it with a dinner date and tried to make herself feel good, or it was nice that somebody was giving her that attention.
And that's the problem I think you women need to understand. When you're now allowing somebody to make you feel good than the person you've committed to, that's cheating. That's emotional cheating.
Okay.
And emotionally, especially for women are not physical like men. Women are more emotional. And because women are more emotional, it comes in a sense of where they give so many emotions to the point of where it comes to a point of where this thing has to be really considered and really understand, because I feel she felt vulnerable in a position, and then she went to a position of where she opened the door and she actually went to the action of going on a date with somebody, trying to feel good, and then that person kissed her. Although she said she pushed him away, I think there's more to that conversation. I think she probably dumbed it down. I'll give her the benefit of the doubt and say we'll take her at her word.
Yeah.
We can't assume. So based on what she said, she basically pushed him away, and that's why she defends herself, and she said, "I did not do it."
Yeah.
But I think she also now needs to own up and say, "I put myself in a compromised position."
Yeah.
And you may not call it cheating, but maybe say put yourself in a compromised position.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I think I agree with you on that in that position, but I also agree with you perhaps that there could be an element of because that's something that we don't look at a lot, or we don't talk about a lot, emotionally cheating. So yeah, that's a good thing for me to think about, because we talk a lot about physical, when someone touches somebody, when someone kisses, when you have sex, when you do all of this, but actually she went out on a date and she may have opened up to this person because this other person was not present. So what does that mean? Because you can cheat emotionally.
Yeah. And so I think that was something that, I think for him, his reaction was more on her side than the name calling that he's been receiving. Her calling him a liar, her calling him, even when he confessed to her, the way she reacted, feeling like he's the only one who messes up and everything like that. And this was also a confession about something that happened in the past before their relationship.
Yeah, whereas for her, it was actually during. I think that's
during the relationship.
That might have also contributed to why he was that angry, because it's like you've spent all this time castigating me, but actually you've also been holding something back.
Yeah. And I think that was why his emotions were that way. Although you see that there's a level of breakdown, the level of what's the word? Not breakdown. There's a level of where they have, what's the word? Progress.
Yeah.
Because I think when they had that exercise of reading something to one another.
Yes, the appreciation
letter. You see how she read it to him, and then when he read his to her, and you saw the tears and everything like that from her. She's like, I never heard him say those things to me.
Yeah, I didn't know he felt
and
this
I don't
deep.
think he felt this way for me. I just felt like, so she was searching for something.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the beginning of something for them.
Yeah.
And we hope that maybe they can move past whatever they call maybe cheating or emotionally exposing herself, and maybe go on and see how they can maybe
how the relationship can move forward.
The relationship can move forward going forward.
I have hopes for them. I think I have hopes for them, because he said before, that he genuinely likes her. He really does like her. So and she likes him. So there's hope. All right. So we've got Lucky and Anna. Similarly, Lucky Anna confesses further. Because before she said they only kissed, but Lucky was like, well, in the last episode, we found out that, Anna had gone out on a date with her ex, which she'd told Lucky about. But then she confessed and said they kissed. And then Lucky had asked her, is there anything more happened? Because you went to his house and you stayed there a long time. She didn't say anything. She was trying to deny it. It appeared that she was trying to deny it. And then this time she's come around and said, actually, they had sex. She had sexual intercourse with the ex, but they didn't disclose it in therapy. I think that she told him outside therapy. So they just came to therapy to say, this is what has come out. And Lucky was not happy, but I think he'd already had some of the expression. Yeah. So what do you think about that?
I've got a lot to say about Anna, but I think what Anna did was deceitful. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes she manipulates Lucky in the sense of, because of her age gap, it comes out like she treats him like, I'm the best thing that you can get. And I think Lucky seems not so confident to actually see who Anna is really. Yeah. And Anna comes very entitled. Even when she does something, she just feels like, oh yeah, I believe it wasn't right. In this, I did it, but I accept that it wasn't the right thing to do. Yeah. And it's like she really wants to move on from it. Yeah. And then
without really dealing with the emotions and the effects of what she's done. And then I think there's something that Lucky has done that she's now feeling is equal, but we haven't gotten the full details yet in this episode. Yeah. It seems that Lucky may have done something similar with another person, but in this episode, it would have been good to see Anna actually take accountability for her lying and, deceiving Lucky all this time when he's been having a hunch that something else must have happened. I think, because he said it, he's like, I think something else happened. I think she slept with him. Yeah. I think he said it anyway. I've got that image in my head of him saying that. Yeah. But I agree with you. She's not taking accountability. She's not being remorseful. She's not being, she does not appear like she regrets it, It kind of feels like she's like, yeah, it happened. Yeah, I enjoyed it in the moment, but he's not for me. You're the one for me.
Yeah. And I think she always brushes off certain things, as in she takes them very lightly. Yeah. And I think to be honest, she probably values herself more than she needs to be honest.
That's a good point. I agree with you.
And I think because of that, I don't know if that's emotional manipulation.
I feel like there's some element. Remember I told you in the last episode, there was just some vibe I was getting. Maybe it's just because of the age gap that I've been told. But again, we do need to be, I think, we do say age is nothing but a number, but there are times where it is significant. Yeah. It is significant, and there are elements in a relationship where you can see that age is playing a part, and we need to be able to see that and acknowledge that. And if it's something that is negative, figure out how do we iron this? Because, having a 10-year age gap is not a problem. A 20-year age gap is not really a problem. Well, it depends on which way the 20-year age gap is. Obviously, if it's underage, that is a massive problem and illegal. But you know what I mean? Like if you're 20 and he's 40, that is a massive age gap. It might work, but you have to actually acknowledge what is the age gap how is the age gap going to affect our relationship, and how do we need to deal with that? Yeah. It doesn't mean it's a no, but you need to the same way. He's 23, she's 31. That is quite a big age gap, because that a lot of growth happens between 23 and 30, and then between 30 and 40. So they're in different stages in life. Yeah. So how is this going to affect us? How is this going to affect our relationship? So I do feel like there is a little bit of manipulation, and honestly, I don't like her vibe. I don't like what she's bringing to the table. I'm actually failing to get what she's bringing to the table to Lucky, because I can see what Lucky is giving to her, but I don't see what she's bringing to the table in their relationship.
For her to be that bold. Yeah, I think she's not bringing anything.
I don't know. I honestly, they haven't. Obviously, we don't get to see a lot. Yeah, she must be. She must. There's something that he loves about her. There's a lot. That we don't see in these things. But I'm like, what is it that you bring to the relationship?
And I think this is another thing why I'm saying, like, men need to be also careful, because I think you need to, the person who you're gonna spend your life with, you need to gauge and say, is this a person I want to spend my life with? And Because there's a level of just selfishness that comes to the point of where you don't even see somebody considering you, understanding you. Because like even like the old episode, she's like basically trying to work this man to the ground.
Literally.
And then on top of that, she doesn't respect him enough to be honest and be faithful to this man
I know.
and tell him the truth of what happened and make him look like a fool. And then he comes and then he's looking like a fool because he's the one. I'm just like, I don't understand.
Value yourself.
Yeah.
You know, we do a lot of valuing yourself as a woman. We're very good at value yourself, know who you are, don't let anybody use you. You bring a lot to the table. You are strong, you are powerful. But I don't know if we do a lot for men.
I think we do.
Do we?
We value ourselves in a very, very toxic way.
Okay.
I think on the other side, but that's for other people. So people who value themselves, worldly valuing.
Yes.
It will be more of
that's
how
the
many girls
that's
can
what
I
mean.
get?
I see what you mean.
How much money do I have?
Yeah.
So we value ourselves on the material things. But this is not, especially when we're talking about it from a biblical concept, both men and women should not value themselves on saying, I'm this, I'm that, I'm that. It's more of what's your identity in Christ.
Yes.
As well as also the man, what's your identity in Christ? And what are you both called whenever you're coming into a relationship to serve one another?
Yeah.
And when you're trying to be of service to one another, there's a level of sacrifice, there's a level of love that you need to extend, a level of respect that you need to extend. And because these are relationships that we see, they're not biblical relationships that are being portrayed.
No.
But they're out there on the screen, and we can speak light to them and say, there's a reason why they're behaving this way. And the reason why they're behaving this way is because, one, they don't show any aspect of a godly influence in them, one. And then two, we're just seeing how that now lives out in a broken world. A broken world would just be living on the sense of what satisfies me at that present time. And we're seeing all those things. And even in Christian relationships, we see that. We're not saying we're immune to sin. Sin will come. But I think the good thing is that when sin comes, we can always go to the word of God to chastise us and help us and make us come back to our normal self.
Yeah.
Because this is something that we'll be wrestling with until the Lord himself comes or calls us to himself when we go to heaven to be with him. So these are things that we need to continue to wrestle with and fight on a daily basis.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Anything else on them?
No, I don't have anything else on these two.
Yeah. Final couple.
Temi and Tang.
Yeah. So
they didn't show us much. They just showed us. Sorry, you were about to say something. I just heard you say so.
No. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. They didn't show us much. They just showed us them in a restaurant with they've gone to I think it might have been a Caribbean restaurant.
Yeah.
With Temi's mom. They've gone with Tang, their child, Temi and Temi's mom.
Yeah.
And the interactions there. So what did you think about that?
I don't know. Because maybe it depends on culture.
Yeah.
I think if it was our culture, it would look disrespectful.
It was, yes. From our culture. I think from a lot of cultures.
If it's a Western culture, I don't know.
I think from a Western point of view, I think he was still disrespectful.
Okay.
I think. So I can't remember what he did. Because I'm not even looking at it from an African. Because he was just he was just laughing and he wasn't holding a conversation.
He was being too familiar with his in-laws.
Yeah.
With his future in-laws.
Yeah, and I think.
But I don't know. That's a question I have.
No, I think you can have a conversation, but he wasn't even. He was being too familiar, but he wasn't even able to hold. He was just like, I don't even know. I can't even remember because I think. Well, the good thing is he went to the Caribbean restaurant. Yeah, he went to the restaurant, so that's good. He was trying to learn more about her food.
Yeah.
But for me, I was just like, how many years has it been? This is the first time you're tasting the food. But anyway, I do think that, I don't know, there's just something he just wasn't taking this seriously.
But
There's a level of
isn't that his
serious
personality?
But I think that he has lived in his personality so much that he gives that as an excuse. Your personality should not be an excuse to be disrespectful.
Yeah.
We all have different personalities. Some of us are more blunt than others. Some of us will tell you the truth.
Yeah.
But that does not mean you can tell someone the truth, but you don't need to be disrespectful. And I think for him, he's just like, this is who I am, get it. You either take it or leave it. And I think that is not a good attitude to have, because in life, there's different scenarios that you will need to portray yourself in. In the workplace, you come to me and you're a blunt person, that's okay, but don't be rude about it. And I feel like someone like him, you come to an interview, I'm like, so when I'll ask a question, like if someone like him was to go to an interview, would he wear a suit, for example? Would he sit there and wear his casual clothes, sit laid back in the chair, have a joke and laugh, not answer the questions seriously? Would you do that? I feel like he would actually, because it's to do with his money, I feel like this guy would put on a suit and go and behave himself.
Yeah, I agree.
But why is he not in different scenarios? Yeah, you can be like that, but in a scenario where you're required to be a bit more respectful because he was just being disrespectful, and I feel like he was just like, no. And I feel like she's also a bit extreme, because she was saying, well, I want a big wedding. He's like, I don't want a big wedding. And then he's like, I can't remember what he said, but I think she's also now giving too much of the, I gotta have it this way. And it's like, no, you don't have to have a big wedding. Tang doesn't want a big wedding. So can you compromise? Can you both actually have a conversation? Because the way it looks like, Tang wants it his way, Temi wants it her way. And at this point, he was like, I don't think there's going to be a wedding at this point. Or he was like, she wants to get married in 1 to 2 years. He's like, I don't know. I'm like, girl, be serious. What do you want for your life? A guy has told you he doesn't know when he wants to get married, and you're just there trying to plan a wedding. Why are you trying to talk about a wedding when he has said he does not know? Why are they sitting there trying to plan a wedding? And it's like, he's being pushed into it. And the more I feel like he's being pushed, the more he pushes back, and he's like, no. And this is the same thing with Tunde. He made it clear he does not want marriage like that.
Yeah.
This guy has said, I have engaged you. I am happy to toy around with you, because I know that if I engage you, you're not going to go away. But I am not going to make a commitment to make you mine. So you can just linger around here. Yeah. I'm going to give you the babies. I'm going to make you the baby mama, basically. Because what's that?
Yeah.
They're just boyfriend. What's an engagement?
Yeah.
What is an engagement without the commitment? What are you engaging? For a commitment that you might make because you're not sure when.
Yeah.
And I get the whole concept of the different lengths of engagement, but there needs to be a seriousness to the engagement.
Yeah.
And there isn't a seriousness to the engagement. I think she's just been given a ring on her finger and she feels good about it. And she's not taking a step back to say, this man does not want to marry me anytime soon.
No, but he was honest about that.
So why? I just don't understand why she's in that relationship myself.
Yeah, because she even said, when I first met her dad, I actually told her that I'm not gonna marry your daughter.
So why? I feel like I don't actually get their relationship.
No, I don't get it.
I don't get the chemistry.
But you know what? One of the things I think maybe you're not seeing is when people have a child together, people will compromise for the sake of the child.
Yeah.
Because they feel the best way the child can grow up is in a
2-people household.
Yes, in a 2-people household. And people will want to compromise as much as they can to get that aspect of making their child grow up in that setting.
I get you.
And I think how do we give wise words towards a thing like that? It's very complex.
It's hard.
Very challenging. And it's a hard thing to discuss. And I think there has to be a level of wisdom, a level of prayer, a level of coming to an understanding what can help you through that process. ultimately, there's no reason. The reason you should not get married the reason for getting married to somebody is not because of the child. It shouldn't be that. That should not be your reason. I know you want them to experience that, but there will be a time that child will leave the house, and now you guys have to decide what you do with your marriage. In making that decision, this is a long-term decision that even children will come out of that. Children will go and start their own lives. Children will go and do certain other things that they are going to be doing. But if you make that decision, that's a decision you're making with not just it's a long-term commitment. And because of that, you need to have a lot of wisdom and a lot of counsel to make those decisions. We don't know if that, but they say they love each other. For them,
for them it's different. For them it's different. And well, we don't know actually, because we don't know how it all transpired and how they started living together and everything like that. We don't know if it all, when he engaged her, we don't know that.
Yeah.
We don't know if it happened after she got pregnant. We don't know if the pregnancy was planned. Because again, sometimes people do plan this. You know, they plan to get pregnant, they plan to have a child. Or sometimes women decide to trap the guy by getting pregnant. There's so many ways this what we're seeing, there's so many angles to it. It could have been she was like, I want to get pregnant because maybe he will finally marry me, maybe he will engage me, or it just happened by accident, or they said they wanted to get pregnant and they wanted to start having children. He said, later I'll marry you, I just don't know when. And I think that answer from a guy, run. If he says, I will marry you, but I just don't know when, then girl, time to go.
But I think on the other side is more on the side of what is actually keeping you together. And I think what's the fundamental things that you have in common.
It's true.
Because when you see their relationship, it seems that they're polar opposites.
Yeah, I
they're
just don't
opposites
get it.
on how they view. One is from a cultural perspective, on the way they think, and the way no one is budging. And then because of that, I'm just like, but how are you guys moving forward?
I don't get it. I honestly don't get it.
With all these tense,
I don't get it. It seems
opposite
but
things,
I think they have a good sexual connection. Because remember when they had that, they were like, oh, before the baby, they were, they had sex quite frequently. And then after the baby, it reduced. But when they were given that homework, it seemed that they both came back quite happy. So it seems like sexually they connect quite well. And I'm just like, that is what Tumelo's like opening his mouth like, what? Why are you saying that?
I agree with what you're trying to say.
I am. I what?
Yeah, but I agree with what you're trying to say. But this is my rebuttal on this and trying to say that, look, I think this is why when we're talking about it from a biblical perspective, this is why these things are reserved for a special place.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying, well, let me, that's why my point is they have a good sexual connection, but that isn't, well, I don't know, but that's what it seems, because we don't see anything else connecting but that. And so that should not be the basis of your relationship, because then you overlook all of these problems. And there's something that this is also one of the reasons I believe God said, sex should be kept in the context of marriage, because it can bring about so many different problems. You feel connected to that person. It is so, sexual sex is much deeper than we even understand as human beings. Because it brings about a level of connection. You know that this guy is not good for you, but because you guys have been sleeping together, you are struggling to let go. Similarly, this girl is not good for you, but you're just like, oh, but the sex. And it's like, no, that was only reserved for marriage. Once everything else has tied together, once everything else works, you both commit to each other and you say, we're going to be married, then you engage in that. And when you have sex in marriage, it's a different level. It's not these kind of stuff that, you be doing with your boyfriend and girlfriend.
But it's also, I think maybe there's a level of idolatry.
What do you mean?
They idolize the sex aspect.
Oh yeah, we do as human beings. I think that's what it's a lot. It's everywhere. Remember when I was telling you that, at school, these are conversations that we used to just genuinely have. And it's like people are giving you a choice, thank God of how I grew up and, the friends that I had, although these were conversations that everybody was having in class and will, we were we were grounded, but it starts from a young age. Sex is very much when they say sex sells, you see musicians, they start off dressed, and before you know it, by the time they get big, they're half dressed or undressed. Like, it's true. We do idolize sex. We give sex so much power, so much emphasis. Then it is a special thing, and it is an important thing. But because we do that, then we lose the context of where it's supposed to be, because then now everybody wants it and everybody can get it. And the whole thing with Tunde Marie, we've idolized the whole idea of it, and now it's an exciting thing to even tell people, oh yeah, we had a threesome, but I had control, don't worry, it was a girl I got. Like, can you imagine telling your friends about that? Like, we've just given it too much too much power. And yes, I think in that situation where when I mentioned, if a guy says to you, I'll marry you, but I don't know when, and run, I'm like, yeah, because there's no commitment there, but you are but he's happy to make a commitment to have sexual intercourse with you, but he's not happy to make a commitment of when he's going to marry you. And this thing should only been happening in marriage. Like, how serious is he and how serious are you? So I think that says a lot more about both of you than, to be fair, even though I'm saying if a guy says that you should run, it could be the girl too. So it says a lot about both of you. What is your level of commitment? I'll stop.
You know what?
Talking.
I think like maybe your medical side comes out a lot because you're so free of talking about this thing.
My husband is like, oh my days, she said sex like 10 times. Oh my God.
I feel so uncomfortable.
I can literally see you. I wish this was literally like a video. I feel like you would, because, okay, so we're sitting, the context is we're sitting on the sofa, but this is like a large sofa. So he's on one end, I'm on the other end, but I can literally stretch my legs to the other side, like towards where he is, but he can't, he's still far away from me. So I'm telling you, like, I feel like if you could, you would have been shaking my leg, like, stop. And because I'm talking about it, I'm not actually looking at him. I could feel his energy. He's just like, oh my goodness, why is she still talking about sex? I'm like, babe, it's just sex.
It's something that is supposed to be. It's a beautiful thing that needs to be used in its right context.
It's true, but we can also talk about it, babe.
Yeah,
I know you're so uncomfortable.
The way we talk about it, I think there needs to be a level of where we put it in a place where it deserves honor, and it deserves honor to be used in the right context, especially in the context of marriage.
I agree with you.
And because we loosely talk about it also brings a level of where is, because we commonly talk about it just freely.
Yes.
It's become now an aspect of where
you can just
the bedroom has now become public.
I agree with you. I think that's a really good way of looking at it. I think I'm very comfortable talking about sex because of my profession. So for me, I have to ask the nitty gritty details that people are just, even my husband already have started. He's like, oh gosh.
No, go ahead.
But you also have to understand from 2 points of view. So I am probably the worst person to have this conversation with, because I am very open. But as you can see, I use the phrase sexual intercourse more, where most people are like, who say sexual intercourse? People just say sex anyway. So I am very comfortable in that sense.
Yeah.
So professionally, I'm very comfortable, and I need to be comfortable.
No, but
I do understand where you're coming from.
But I also understand in the sense of, this is also what's being talked about.
I was just going to say that. I was going to say, now we no longer value sex the way we should, like the way you've just described it. That is so true, babe. This is something that happens in the bedroom. This is something that we shouldn't even be bringing and talking about. Like, I do think, if you're married and you're having sex and you're having issues and you've tried to talk about it, the two of you, and you're struggling in one way or another, it's okay to have, if there's someone in your church that, your pastor or your counselor, because they might have brought it up, you can go and confide in them and talk to them, and they can help you and guide you and leave you. But I do think that we have become so open about it. Yeah. It is something that as society, we've become so open about it. And I feel like it's also pushed us as Christians to be a bit more open about it, because I'm imagining, when we have children, I do feel like I'm going to be even more open about it from the very young age, because I feel like I have to get in there before school gets in there. I need to get in there before society gets in there. I need to get in there before television gets in there, before the books, before the billboards. Like, I need to now start addressing this issue with them at a much younger age than I would probably like to, because the world has gotten in there before I have.
I understand that, and I think that's wise. And
Okay,
like I've said, like the problem is, and I know the world is doing that, but I think also we can now start as believers. Maybe we can speak about it more for us to now put it in its right context. But I think even the way we speak more about it is, we don't just put it in the right context and talk about it more and more and more, but I think it's putting it in the right context and putting it in where it needs to be talked about.
That's true.
And
it needs to be talked about in the marriage context. There is no other context.
And in the bedroom, leave it there. And that when people are ready for them to come and have those conversations, we are ready to talk about them in the right context. Yeah. So yeah. So I think maybe it's a point where we can end here.
Yeah, I think so, because yes, some of us can talk about such things for a long time.
And
it's too long.
I think maybe if you want to hear more about that, maybe Lifers can help you.
Look at the way you just ditched us.
Dr.
Yeah,
Rute.
that's true. Come to Lifers. We have no filters.
And Dr. Rute also.
And yes,
you can.
Dr. Rute has no filters either.
So yeah.
Come and finish the conversations with me.
Okay. So thank you for listening to this podcast. We appreciate for you guys taking your time to listen to us. And and like we said, like, subscribe,
and share.
And then so until next time, thank you for your time. And bye-bye.
Bye from us.
Bye.
Bye.